Good evening, everyone. I don't want to disrupt the socialism, but we do want to get started with our Big Spring School District October 7th meeting, beginning at 7:30 p.m. So I'd like to call the meeting to order with pledge to the flag. Please rise as you can and join me in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone here this evening as we are well into the school year. We just had homecoming last weekend. It's just good to see the community out as well as the board members here this evening. We'll start with student, staff, and recognition reports. Caleb, do you have anything at this time? Thank you for being here as always. I'm going to try to make sure Caleb feels welcome and he's here, but thank you for being here, Caleb. Reading of correspondence. Do we have any correspondence this evening, Dr. Bronte? Thank you. Recognition of visitors. We ask that everyone is please sign in on the sheet in the back. It helps us to know who's here this evening and how many guests we have. At this time, we'll move into the public comment period. Public comment is designed for you to share your opinion, share your thoughts, make us aware of things that you know. Hopefully it's related to things on the agenda. We ask that it be 3 minutes in length. We ask that you speak from the microphone, and we'll begin the public comment at this time. Mr. Michael Deal, please. Thank you, Michael.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to offer prayer. So those that would like to join me, please do so. Eternal, gracious Father, we come to you this evening, inviting your presence here among us. Father, we ask that you would unite this body of government together, that they would be able to work together and to accomplish the good for the students, for the teachers, for the staff, and for the parents and residents of this district. Father, we understand there is an enemy that is trying to bring havoc, and so we bind him up in the name of Jesus, and we invite Holy Spirit to come to move through this, not only this body, but this entire district with your peace and your comfort for those that are having problems, afflictions, whatever. We just ask that you come as the comforter and minister with blessings. We ask also, Father, that you give this board wisdom. Lord, wisdom that they would understand the situations, the problems that they face, and with clarity they would be able to move together united for the good not only of the school but for the students as well. We thank you, we honor you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. Rosie McRae, please.
As an animal science major, I was always taught to respect the animals in our care, but tonight I'm here beating a dead horse. According to the Office of Open Records FAQs regarding the Sunshine Act, number 8 states, can the public ask questions during the comment period? The answer is yes. Although members of the agency are not required to provide an answer, it is a good practice to do so whenever possible. Answering questions can demonstrate a commitment to helping constituents, and in many cases, answering questions informally at a public meeting can reduce future requests under the Right to Know law, which saves time and money for both the agency and the commenter or requester. It's a good practice to shoot straight, tell the truth, and show good faith with the public whom you claim to represent. District solicitors should do that too. Mr. King was not forthcoming with you at his presentation 2 weeks ago. He led you on a journey to believe that he could rake in thousands of dollars for us as a district. What does King gain from getting Big Spring involved in litigation against Big Pharma? He didn't tell you about the federal court denying the class action certification he wants the board to join. There is no class action until the court orders the case is a class action. Various parties in the multiple actions filed against the insulin manufacturers have different claims, and the pleadings are being reviewed and amendments being considered. In the end, there may be several class actions certified, but that's not yet known. Did King speak truth? And the suit he referenced had just been filed. It was filed Friday, September 20th, 2024, by the FTC against the middlemen providers. FTC actions are regulatory agency litigation within a different jurisdiction than that of the federal judicial system. King knows that. Did he confuse and hoodwink the board? Did you actually understand what King told you, if anything, he could do to benefit the district? The benefits of any claims arising out of cost for insulin go to the patients paying. The district is not a patient.
Thank you, Roses, for your comments. Charlotte McDonald, please.
The following is my opinion and is not intended to damage anyone's reputation. This is the truth as I witnessed and documented it. Many of you in this audience are enjoying rights you were not afforded 3 years ago. You have the right to view anything this board votes on before that vote takes place. 3 years ago, that was not the case. If you wanted to see what the board was voting on, often you had to send an RTK after the fact. Our citizens group fought for you to have the right to view items and comment on them before a vote. 3 years ago, the board meeting agendas had a vote listed before public comment at every meeting. That is a Sunshine Law violation. Again, our group fought for that to be corrected. 3 years ago, you did not have the right to object to anything in these proceedings, even though that is the law. Our group fought for you to have that right. 3 years ago, you would not have been given a complete explanation why this board held a secret executive session. That is unlawful. Our group fought for you to have that right. Why wasn't Stock and Leader making these corrections? It is the job of a school solicitor to ensure that a school board is following the law and our constitutions at all times, and to ensure school policies are lawful and constitutional. For example, our 903 policy in 2021 was in violation of your constitutional rights to free speech. When the board altered it in 2022, they did so without public notice, and they enacted those changes before a vote was ever taken on them. This was unlawful. Why didn't Stock and Leader correct our board? Both Mr. Myers and Mr. Over railed against having a policy committee. Our current 903 policy, a policy they voted for, does not allow non-residents with children attending our schools to comment during public comment period. Under the newly reformed 903 policy that is presently in our policy committee, these parents would rightfully have a voice. Make that change happen. Until that policy is approved, however, I must inform the board those outside the district may not speak as per Policy 903. Where were all of you while we were busy securing your rights? If you want to know why this district needs a new solicitor, all you need to do is take a look at the past 3 years. We were here. Where were you?
Thank you, Charlotte. Dakota Miller, please. Cody.
On 9/23, Thomas W. King III introduced himself and said he would represent his clients, the school board, and that the school board represents the community. I do not feel that the school board represents all of the community members equally, rather that they represent those who share their religious and political beliefs. King has very clear political ties to the Republican Party. According to the Un-American Bar website, he is listed as an attorney in the firm who represented 5 cases to attempt voter suppression during the 2020 presidential election. We don't need a solicitor with obvious partisan ties, regardless of which party they are tied to. We need a solicitor who doesn't allow any bias to affect the decisions that need to be made. Board members are not required to comment. However, showing responsiveness to the concerns of the community would go a long way in developing a sense of trust, which is clearly lacking between us. The district received 4 proposals and conducted 3 interviews for school solicitor services. Board members, please explain why you found the other proposals and interviews lacking. How was the law firm Dillon, McCandless, King, Coulter, and Graham LLP chosen? What non-biased tools or methods were used to fairly assess each proposal and interview? Why did you choose a clearly political firm when the community has been pleading for transparency in political matters to be put aside? Agenda item 9J, disenrollment survey. Several concerns were raised about the survey. Example, the survey is too long, the survey has grammatical errors and typos, and the most important, the questions on the survey are leading questions that do not allow the person taking the survey to give their own response. Rather, it suggests options to choose from, many of which reflect the district in a negative light. I reviewed the survey linked on the agenda, and there are still typos on at least 2 pages. I'd like to know what information you hope to gain from this survey that hasn't already been collected by faculty and staff. I find it odd that the district wouldn't be aware of the reason a family is leaving, and that faculty, staff, and admin wouldn't try to intervene prior to a withdrawal. I graduated from the district and worked in the district. We put our students and families first. I doubt that due diligence wasn't completed on behalf of our staff. They were very thorough. So I'm left to wonder, what is the true purpose of the survey? It says the purpose is to collect information to make decisions in the future. Given the way that the board has been operating, I do not believe the true purpose of the survey is to find out valuable information. I believe the survey's creators are hoping to further their own agendas once more by receiving information from the survey that will support their culture clash of home and school life question regarding the profile of a graduate that several board members take issue with. And if the survey is anonymous and unable to be linked to the people who filled it out, it means you are unable to ask more questions. Perhaps the board isn't interested in getting the full picture. Perhaps they only want information to twist to fit their needs. In 51 questions, there was only 1 positive question about the district. The survey is yet another attack on Big Spring admin, faculty, and staff. The survey has not been changed enough to reflect community input, nor is it appropriate to send out to the community. Please do not vote on either of these agenda items, 9F or 9J.
Thank you, Cody, for your comments.
I'd like to respond.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, in regards to the solicitor, I've already gone over the entire process that was taken to choose the solicitor. That's already said publicly. From my part, my opinion on Stockton Leader, from how I've been dealing with them, Stockton Leader and I had multiple person-to-person opportunities, and I found the law firm lacking in their knowledge. I also found their law firm leading us into situations that we should not have been into. So that's my opinion on Stockton Leader. That's why I'm against Stockton Leader, and that's my opinion, and nobody can contest that. Now, for the survey is to go out to the individuals who've already left Big Spring. They already have a problem with Big Spring. That's why they left. So all the questions seem to be leading because we're trying to figure out what problem they had. This isn't a feel-good survey. This isn't, what did you feel was great about Big Spring? They left. We're trying to figure out why they felt that they needed to leave. It's not a blame game. We're asking people not to give names in the survey. We're asking the families not to give their names in the survey because we want it to be anonymous so they can share it truthfully. Then the conglomerate of the data will be taken to see where we need to improve as a school district. This isn't a hunt for individuals. This isn't a hunt to say the school is bad. We know Big Spring is a good school district. We think it can be better. We want to know why people are leaving, and we want to improve that process. Now, on terms of the teachers and everybody know why people left. There's no mechanism put in place right now to allow us to see any of that from the teachers. So that's why the survey is going out. As in for the school district's opportunities to reach out to those families, the school district sent a letter to the families asking them to please participate in our cyber program, not CCNA's program. There was no questions when they were asking them why they left the school district. It was all just a advertisement to join our cyber program. So this, as far as I know, is the first time there's been a consolidated effort to try to find out why these families left.
Moving on, John McCray, please.
Members of the school board, so you're going to postpone the dumbest thing you've ever done in your lives until tonight, but still do it, I suppose. The vetting that was done on Thomas W. King wasn't very good. If it was done well, it would have discovered that he had worked on 5 voter suppression lawsuits regarding the presidential campaign of 2020. And of those 5 lawsuits, Trump lost 4. The one that the Trump campaign won was a relatively minor one involving the storage of provisional ballots at the polling place until it was time to find out whether the original ballot would be accepted or the provisional ballot would be done. The first case that they filed, or the first case I want to mention, is Metcalf against Wolf, a lawsuit which sought an order to direct the government to decertify the election results. The court denied this, and the lawsuit was dropped. The president judge said in respect to that, plaintiffs filed their complaint on December 4, 2020, which was 11 days after the statutory deadline. There were 3 additional lawsuits which were filed, 1 state and 2 federal. Trump lost all 3 of those. Judge Braun of the Middle District said regarding the 1 lawsuit, one might expect that when seeking such a startling outcome, the disenfranchisement of almost 7 million voters, a plaintiff would come formidably armed with compelling legal arguments and factual proof of rampant corruption. That did not happen. That's the judge's statement. I think with respect to Mr. King, his work on these voter suppression lawsuits creates its own aura of incompetence. Be aware of that when voting on the solicitorship tonight. And if you're smart, you won't vote for Dylan McCandless. One of the school board members said he had 4 comments about the school board. That was Mr. Hippensteel. All I think that does is demonstrate that the rest of our citizens in the township, in the district, have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what we tell him or how many people tell him something, it won't change his mind.
Thank you, John. Lawrence, please.
Mr. McCray, I just have a question for you. In your experience in law, from your years of being a lawyer, do you feel that a lawyer always agrees with his client's perspective in order to work for them and to file a suit on their behalf?
Well, it's an ethical principle that you don't bring bogus lawsuits. You can represent a client even if you disagree with the client's position, but if the lawsuit is wrong, you're duty bound not to bring it.
Thanks.
Mr. Flynn, please.
Good evening. You guys have been accused of antagonizing the community. And I went through the agendas since the new board was installed. And I want to bring up what you've done to antagonize the community. You have voted to give parents the right to consent to polls and surveys given to their children. As a parent, I would be appalled that you would give me the right, well, my kids don't attend school, but that's side point. But any parent, that you would give them the right to consent to a survey for their children? That's antagonistic to our community. Also, you formed a committee to try and bring back kids to our school. You wanted to find out why they left. You wanted to bring them back here. That's antagonistic to the community. You looked at our policies and you saw that they were outdated. And you wanted to form a committee to improve them so that they could be up to date. And worst of all, you wanted the community to be involved. But thankfully, there were people in this room who fought against that to keep community involvement out of that committee. And we got it out of the committee. You antagonize the community. You antagonize the community because you question Open Syed when you clearly look at it and it had critical race theory in it. It didn't take long. I took like 4 hours on a Saturday and I found it rampant through it. There was one where this second grade teacher was bragging how they had their kids make Black Lives Matter posters in health class. Go figure. Anyway, that's antagonistic. There's another thing. You did it right at the beginning. We weren't following our policies with third parties coming out, and you demanded that they come before you to get approval following your own policy. That's antagonistic to our community. And worst of all, I saved the worst. And people spoke against this. Actually, people have spoken against all these. You had the audacity to not raise our taxes. How dare you? Now, I said that sarcastically, but I want you to realize that each one of those things that I brought up, people protested against you about that. Even not raising our taxes, saying you're going to run us out of money. So, thank you for your time. Or my time.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, I'd just like to respond to Mr. Flynn. I'm not saying I can agree with much of it, but I specifically disagree with the thoughts of Black Lives Matter. I have a son-in-law and 3 grandsons who, by anyone's estimation, are 10 times the person you are. And I'm sorry to say that, but they're considerate people. They believe in good and not ruining things that are going good. I just want to defend my son-in-law and my 3 grandsons.
Please.
Good evening. Tonight I'm going to share an email from Randy Heichman, a Big Spring resident, that was recently sent to Dr. Grante regarding the use of Global Citizen in our school district. Many of you know Randy and are aware of his wealth of knowledge, including being a great historian for our town. Unfortunately, Randy is fighting through some health challenges, so he is unable to read this letter in person, but he feels compelled that it needs to be shared, and shared as soon as possible. Myself and 2 others will do our best to deliver this in the same spirit that Randy intended. Dr. Grante, thank you for what you do and are doing. You have been a blessing to this school district and to my family, and thank you for your leadership. The reason I'm writing you today is because I personally take exception to the term global citizen and wish to see it go away as fast as the Greyhounds can hand the little brown jug back to us. Currently, the United Nations recognizes 195 countries. Out of those 195, only 24 are recognized as full democracies and 59 as authoritarian regimes. The rest falls in between. You can do your own Big Spring math to see how low of a percentage democracy is. So when Middle Eastern countries treat women like farm animals and do not allow young girls the privilege of an education, the term global citizen falls into that field and that fold. In Thailand, where chewing gum or saying something bad about the king can result in jail time, the term global citizen can easily mean this country. In North Korea, where any incident can result in death or forced labor camps, the term global citizen equates to that horrendous country too. In countries where they persecute Christians, the term global citizen will pertain to them too. I could go on and on with at least 50 plus more countries, but hopefully you get my point. When you use the term global, you just can't pick and choose who falls under that adjective. It encompasses all. And you can't put blinders on to only see what you want to see. The definition of global says related to the whole world. And the whole world isn't a rosy red picture for Big Spring graduates. The term global citizen, when defined by Wikipedia, says is a form of transnationality, specifically the idea that one's identity transcends geography or political borders, and that responsibilities or rights are derived from membership in a broader global class of humanity. This does not mean that such person denounces or waives their nationality or other more local identities, but that such identities are given second place to their membership in a global community. United States should never be thought of or even considered second place to any other country or entity.
Mr. Barnes, now, please. Burns, excuse me.
It's okay. Good evening. This statement alone, continuing with this letter, this statement alone should scare the heck out of you and make you run from global citizen as fast as possible. And if that doesn't scare you enough, focus on the word transnationality. Wikipedia defines that word as the principle of acting at a geographical scale larger than that of states, so as to take into account the interest of supranational entity. That, my friend, is a big word to mean a one world order. So run and run, you must, and get rid of the term global citizen soonest. I don't believe this is just the opinion, but the majority of silent voices in the Big Spring School District. I'm going to go out on a limb here and estimate that 97, and I think I'm low here, percent of all the Big Spring graduates going back to the start of Big Spring High School located in downtown Newville to our modern high school today have never taken a job outside of the borders or become a citizen of another country. I'm open for discussion, but I'm sure it's close. 97% have gone on to be permanent residents of the USA. Most productive, some not so much, but one thing Big Spring will always do is give every student a chance to make their way in this wonderful country of ours. That isn't perfect, but in our little area of Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, it is about as perfect as it can get. We live in a school district where you see U.S. flags line the streets, where people stand for the national anthem at our football games, where the red, white, and blue flag leads parades, and where you have the right to disagree. The term global citizen has no footing here, so please get rid of the term global citizen and replace it with United States citizen. I have heard the talk about changing global citizen to American citizen. Personally, I've spent a lot of time south of our border, and if you call yourself an American, they will say they too are American because there being a North America and a South America. How you word before United States citizens or the words after, that's for you and the board to decide, and hope you choose those words wisely based on our history, but replace these two unpatriotic words with three patriotic words fit in our wonderful high school: United States citizen. Specifically and factually, more Big Spring graduates have gone on to defend our country in the American Armed Forces, and as first responders, then have become a citizen of a different nation or worked outside our borders. It is those brave men and women who absolutely and unequivocally should be targeted by using the term United States citizen as an honor to them, our children, and future generations of Big Spring graduates. Thank you.
Jessica Curley, please.
The last part of the letter. I am thankful for what you do. I am proud of our current school board for representing the wishes of the majority of their electorate. It's a hard job for all of you, no matter what side of the political fence you sit on. Pushback and discourse is nothing new for a school board. You can search newspapers.com to see that school board meetings have always had citizens who disagree going back to the first Big Spring School Board created. You can even find pushback to move the high school from downtown Newville to on the hill of the Lefevre Farm, the second high school built. Some on the board can probably remember the pushback to build the Oak Flat School that now is a treasure to the district. As you can see, there have always been citizens who disagree with the board and citizens who agree. They might be right, they may be wrong, but treat those who disagree with respect and consideration, but stand your ground on what you think is right. Follow this guidance, and respect will come upon you. As a historian, I'm encouraged by the teachers who have reached out to the Newville Historical Society for speakers in their classroom. We also offer our Swain Scholarship to the graduate who can best explain the history of the school district in an essay. Newville has an incredible history that needs to be told, and the Newville Historical Society thanks you, the teachers, and the board for giving us a chance to instill this history into the minds of the children for future generations to come. The townships reorganized into one consolidated school board around 1897. Before that, each township in the Big Spring district had its own school board. The current form of a school board has been in operation for 127 years. You all are old. Thank you for your time and consideration. Big Spring proud, Randy Heischman.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Randy, for sharing that information through the letter. David Ward, please.
So the last school board meeting, I pointed out quite a few issues with the DIG survey. I know some of you were not here for it, but I hope you reviewed the video. I compared the survey in tonight's agenda with the survey in last meeting's agenda. I only found four differences between the two. And this leads me to two possible conclusions. Either you did not take into account any of my suggestions, or you feel the survey is just fine the way it is. So I would like to ask each of the board members who are on the DIG survey if they feel this survey is grammatically correct and unbiased.
I'm fine with it.
nice session during the committee tonight where people could actually look at the digital survey and actually plug in our website so they can open it, look at it, work through it. And though it may not be perfect, it is free. And we have never reached out to these families in any meaningful way to find out why they have left. Our amounts that we are paying for children who are now enrolled into cyber schools is climbing. It's done a little bit better, it's plateaued post-COVID, but we, as a district, have just not taken that time to do that. So this survey is the first opportunity to really do that. Actually, the committee was. They were invited to come visit with us. We did have some people come visit with us for the first meeting. We haven't had many more, but we're hoping that the survey going out with the explanation letter, which had been previously approved by the board, will help these families to open that kind of communication.
I'm not questioning the intent. I'm questioning the content of the survey. And you could create your own little thing here the other week, but you couldn't do that here with the survey. Why couldn't you show that to everybody?
Well, the link is on the committee's.
That's not the survey that someone's going to answer though. That's online. Why couldn't you have done your presentation to the whole crowd here?
There was a public presentation, and it is in the agenda, so you can open it and look at it yourself as well.
That's not the same presentation though. That's written out by word. That's not online that the people are going to go through. And how many are these going to? How many families?
How many families?
Yeah.
There's more
Roughly.
than we had on the numbers.
Roughly.
We have the actual numbers now. I didn't.
Roughly. 100, 200?
Roughly 500.
500? What about all the families that are staying here that have not left? Are you taking any of their?
We talked about it in the survey or in the committee tonight. There is the option that we're considering and putting contact information. We do have a webpage already on the district site. So we're considering putting the information on there so that people can reach out to us if they were in the boat where they considered disenrollment, but did not disenroll or have had, grievances and persistence come to grievance committee. So it's the purpose to be able to look at issues that people are having, bring those back to the board.
So will I get one of those?
What's that?
Will I get one of those?
Do you have a student in the district?
I did.
You may request one.
I'm a taxpayer. Will I get one of those? How do I request it?
It will be, you can email me. Once the survey is actually approved and live, you could request that by email. And there will be a link on our webpage.
All right, so anyone here, any taxpayer, this Big Spring School District can request to fill that out.
If they have an experience with a student in the district and have something that they would like to share that was maybe not an optimal experience, they would be welcome to. And in fact, they'd be welcome to come to the committee at any time or reach out to anyone on the committee to share their concerns.
So somebody that does not have a child in the district is not allowed to fill it out?
Well, it's not really applicable to them.
Okay, just remember that. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, David. Laura Mackin, please.
Good evening. Good with shovel, Mr. Myers. The following is my opinion and is the truth as I witnessed it. Many have come to this podium and bashed Mr. Flynn and Mrs. Reinford in regard to their lawsuits. Few have any real knowledge regarding either lawsuit. The First Amendment lawsuit was filed after Mr. Flynn and Mrs. Reinford were trespassed from the school property without due process. They were prevented from attending these public meetings, which is unlawful without cause. Do you understand the Reinford-Flynn lawsuits? Lawsuits are about your rights? Some citizens who claim to be lawyers have expressed that the Reinford-Flynn lawsuits are frivolous. In regard to the First Amendment lawsuit, a judge issued an injunction to allow Mrs. Reinford and Mr. Flynn to attend school board meetings and to prevent any further violations of their rights and yours. Judges do not issue injunctions lightly. In the summary judgment of the First Amendment lawsuit, the judge has upheld 9 out of 10 points of law. It may now go to trial. Damages requested in the First Amendment lawsuit are $17.76. $17.76. The lawsuits are not about money. They are about your rights, and they have come to considerable cost to the plaintiffs. The school district has insurance for this. Both lawsuits should never have happened under expert legal advice, who profited most from these lawsuits. In regard to the Sunshine lawsuit, a judge has ruled that the case has merit and is not frivolous. Perhaps a few lawyers in our community need to return to school. Prior to the Sunshine lawsuit, our community group spent 8 months reading the law to our school board, oftentimes with their solicitor present. Mrs. Reinford read them a letter from our lawyer outlining 3 laws they allegedly broke. Why was our district sued twice when they had such expert legal advisors? Why was our district sued when they had weeks and months to make simple corrections to prevent each of these lawsuits? You are all enjoying rights that were fought for and won for you by the very people you lie about and disparage. Who on our school board is spreading and encouraging these lies? Why is a board member inciting the audience against his own board? This is highly unethical conduct. This board member should resign or be censured immediately. Clearly, this district needs new legal representation that respects the rights of taxpayers and protects our board. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Matt Super, please.
Good evening. My name is Matt Soper, and I'm a parent of a student in the district. During the last school board meeting, I spoke about transparency, and I also had the opportunity to talk to a few of the school board members after, and I want to thank you for that. I appreciate you talking with me and taking time out of your evening to do that. I learned some things from the board members I spoke with. I learned that they have very strong opinions, they have good opinions, they have interesting opinions. I would like them and others to explain more about that here publicly during the solicitor vote, so we, the people, know more about how you feel, where you stand, and what that means for all of us. I think that would go a long way for the public to understand what you believe, why you're voting the way you're voting. Because when I talked with you, the members I did talk with, you had a lot of good things to say, and I appreciated that. Also, I want to thank the members of the board that are speaking here tonight in response to questions and comments, because it goes a long way to show that you're listening, that you care, that you have things to say, to engage with the public. That's very important. So I would just encourage you, during the vote for solicitor, it would be helpful for people to have faith in you and what you believe, because I know you all have great opinions, to voice those during the vote, maybe, or before, why you're voting the way you're voting. I think it would go a long way for the public to know those things. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That ends the public comment cards that I have before me. We will now move into approval of minutes, policy committee meeting minutes, committee of the whole meeting minutes, and board meeting minutes for September 23rd, 2024 is presented. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion, Mr. Shea. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Myers. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone votes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Old business. Do we have any old business to the floor at this time? Hearing none. Moving into new business. Personnel action items. We have several. Unless there is an objection, I will combine items 8A through 8D under new business as one motion. Do I have a motion to approve items 8A through 8D? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Foreman. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving into number 9, new business action items. The policy committee has proposed the updated policies listed below. Policy 918, parent and family engagement, and policy 806, child abuse. The updated policies are proposed for the Board of School Directors for approval as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Shade, second, Mr. Foreman. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 9B, recommended approval of school property utilization. We have two parties in on behalf of the PA Accelerated Athletics is requesting use of the Flat Gym, and Big Spring Aquatic Club is requesting use of the high school pool and balcony area. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the utilization request as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Do I have a discussion? Mrs. Shade, go ahead.
I just have a comment. I have some concern that the board is being presented a recommendation for approval after the sign-ups have already been released to the public and the families have already made deposits for their student athletes. I'm talking about the PA Accelerated Athletics contract. I just think we can do better with the time.
Thank you for your concern, Mrs. Shade. Do I have other concerns or comments? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear any negative or abstain. Moving on to 9C, recommended approval of fundraisers. There are two. Clarissa Mace, Middle School Principal, a discount card fundraiser to benefit the Middle School National Junior Honor Society, and a Bulldog Spirit Wear fundraiser to benefit the Middle School PTO. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the fundraisers as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Do I have discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Recommended approval of a field trip for Clarissa Mace, Middle School Principal, a 7th grade class trip to Camp Ujoli on May 6, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Foreman. Do I have discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 9E, recommended approval of a non-resident student tuition waiver. A mother of a high school senior is requesting permission to graduate with the class of 2025. According to the board outline policy 202.1, the parent is required to provide necessary transportation to and from school. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve this request to attend the Big Spring High School for the remaining 24-25 school year as a non-resident senior and graduate with the class of 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Corman. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Do I have a discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 9F, recommended appointment of a school district solicitor. Dr. Bronte, Superintendent of Schools, and the Board of School Directors reviewed 4 proposals and conducted 3 interviews for school solicitor services and reviewed the solicitor's contract from Dylan McCandless, King, Colter, and Garner. It is recommended the Board of School Directors appoint the law firm of Dylan McCandless, King, Colter, Grant as school district solicitor as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Shade. Do I have a second? Second. Is that David? Mr. David Fisher, thank you. Do I have discussion or comments? Yes, Mr. Farmer.
Yeah, so there was a second comment about the process of the selection of the solicitor. So the RFP process was put out. People, several law firms responded, I think a total of 4, is that correct? And out of those 4, we interviewed 3. The board did not select who we were interviewing. The administration did that. Out of those 3, we had one that was not a full-service law firm. We had one that was dealing with their own issues in another school district that we found out. And then we had Dylan Campbell's. And I asked him the different law firms different questions. The interview process we did not let me go into. It would make it clear to me that entirely different process should have happened when the new members of this board was put in place and how they were informed. So that is another one of the reasons why I am definitely for the switching of the solicitors.
Similar, I really think treating this solicitor, some things that's mentioned. Like you said, one of the firms of thoughtful service, one of the firms was involved in other issues in the school district. As I sat in the interviews for about 2.5 hours, it became obvious to me by the end of the interviews which firm I would want to choose. Should it be me, not just the school district I represent here at the board, but I was choosing solicitors for me personally, which one I would want represented because it was obviously knew what he was doing. King did mention that he did tell us at the time that he did represent the GAP. That was one comment that was made during the interview process. It had been mentioned that it became a political rally, and it was nothing like that. Matter of fact, there was one comment since it told us that he represented them. It's my understanding that I, as a government entity, am not allowed to choose my representation based on those issues. Whether I agree with him politically or not should not be involved in this. I choose this solicitor based on the fact that he knows what he's doing, he has a good track record, and they can do everything they can
I personally, and to answer Mr. Stover's request, I would like to stick with Stockholm Leader. I think they have served us well for almost 20 years. Have they made mistakes? I think if we all took that question to ourselves, we've all made a mistake or two here and there. I also want to say that they were not interviewed because they were a sitting solicitor for us, and also that I believe I am not misspeaking. Dr. Bronte didn't select the three. He knew that the Stockholm Leader was not one that a lot of the board wanted to hear about. So there are some things about the interviews that we heard, and my hearing's getting bad, I know, but there were some very political things spoken at the interviews, and I've said a million times, this isn't a place to be political in my mind. We're here for the kids, for the students, for education, and we've been that way since the school existed, ever since it began. The thing is, even if King was far to the left or the right, I don't care which way, I had no understanding why he mentioned those things at our interview. And you notice the last board meeting when he did come here, he didn't mention them when everybody out here was listening. He did not mention one of those. Also, he did mention the Bulldog Foundation. If you were here the last meeting, I'm not sure where that came up, or if he was just trying to maybe give him a good side to somebody who deals with the Bulldog Foundation or what. I don't know. I just had a hard time voting for that candidate.
Can you elaborate on the political things?
Pardon?
Elaborate on the political things. You're saying that there were political things that were said. I didn't hear that, so I just would like to know.
You didn't hear him talk about being the head of the Republican committee.
He mentioned that, yes, that was one thing, yes.
You didn't hear him say about the masking, where he ruled the masking.
That he mentioned a case, yes.
That he was instrumental in that case.
Was masking political?
Yes. Are you kidding, Mike?
Well, I'm just asking if that's what you're considering as political.
Okay. There was another. I don't remember.
Okay.
Who's enough?
Just enough, yeah. I mean,
Mr. King,
but why would he even mention those things to us at that meeting?
He was telling us who he represented, along with the school districts.
Mr. King made it very clear that he did not represent, the case he's representing that had to do with masking was not because of the mask itself. It was because of how the mask was implemented. It was done illegally and therefore needed to be repealed, not because of the mask itself, but because of the process in which it was implemented. That's not a political issue, that's a matter of following the law.
I'm not going to sit up here and make defamatory statements, however, I will provide some facts and information. The NSBA states that school lawyers are employed by school boards to represent their school districts in legal matters and litigation matters. Members of the school board must have confidence in their solicitor. The contract with solicitor was due for renewal. The board requested an RFP and extended the contract with Stockton Leader during the proposal process. Members of the board received 482 pages of proposals for review, which were not available to the public. Members of the board sat through approximately 3.5 hours of interviews, which were not available to the public. I sat here at the end of the last meeting, and I made a very lengthy comment, and I went through the agenda and how it's changed over the years. I sat on that side of the table for approximately 4 years, and I watched sunshine law violations. I watched links and things disappear. There was no transparency for several months of time. I think that there was bad advice being given to the board, and I have zero confidence in the solicitor that we have now, which is why I will be supporting the king.
Though we were sworn in December to the board, we were not briefed by Stockton Leader on the background and the situation of the ongoing lawsuits until April 8th, which this was made public through the announcement of the executive session, which did happen. By that time, I had already been invited to 2 dinner events hosted by Stockton Leader. At the first, they openly discussed with all present our lawsuit and the hope of creating case law in this area in response to a question about how to handle unruly members of the public board meetings. A member of the audience also mentioned having issues with his district not complying with sunshine law and announcing the purposes of executive sessions before he joined the board with the solicitor from Stockton Leader present. This has also been an issue here in the past. At the second dinner, which was only a few weeks after our long-awaited update on the lawsuits, they informed us of the new social media lawsuit being brought by Dylan McCandless, Kane, Coulter, and Graham. They invited all to reach out to them if we wished to join in on the lawsuit. There's been recent developments with the lawsuit, which I won't get into, but it's public information. And the findings were contrary to what we were advised to expect from our solicitor. Though the details of concerns that I had with Stockton Leader's representation don't really need further explanation, I also, like I said, had mentioned different things that had changed, that we felt were not correct before, and many things were mentioned tonight by people who were here. But I do think we can all agree on a few things. All contracts should be visible to the public before the board votes on them. This is why this very contract was pushed back to tonight. There was a sentence of clarification added, so we did not vote on it. Votes did happen on unseen contracts in the past with a solicitor present, despite the public raising concerns. Also, I think we could agree that school safety and the safety of our children against potential abuse is a utmost priority. I believe that Mr. King's representation will offer more support in this area and safety for our schools. Also, $35 an hour is a significant amount. Despite inflation, this is probably higher than our average taxpayer wage. This is the savings per hour that we are gaining joining this new law firm join our board. We are also gaining a flat rate of $600 per meeting night with no additional travel time charge for the meetings. This is a great improvement in meeting costs with solicitor representation. Please note that our current solicitors were not in the neighborhood either, and likely would have charged between an hour and a half and 2 hours of travel time for a meeting from their locations of their homes. Meeting nights are never under an hour. So if you tally that up, we are saving by having them represent us with this new contract. Also, I think we could agree that freedom of speech and freedom to attend board meetings is important to uphold, whether you agree with the board or oppose everything they say or do. Lastly, I think we can agree that when a contract ends, it is the board's responsibility to evaluate and ensure that the district and the taxpayers are getting the best deal. We're working hard to ensure that we are doing that. I look forward to comparing the costs that we'll see over the coming year. I also look forward to having a solicitor present at meetings that will give advice on the spot based on years of experience. Mr. King's group currently represents 24 school districts, but that number expands to 76 districts when you consider those that they have represented in various capacities. Their experience and reputation are impeccable. We are very fortunate that they chose to answer our RFP, and I would like to personally thank them for their patience and willingness to serve our community. This is a great win for our school.
So I really don't have anything else to add because I think a lot has already been said. For me, it comes down to trust and value. I really can't say that a Stockton leader has gained my trust. Their contract was due, or it was up, and we needed another solicitor. This is a one-year contract, 1 year. If this doesn't work out, we can reevaluate in a year. It's not permanent. So I said that Stockton leader may be a choice for us. That's why I wanted to see what other law firms could bring to the table. The contracts that were given to us, there were some that were pretty high. King definitely was on the lower side of the prices. Price doesn't mean anything, but their reputation seemed to be pretty upstanding. So for me, that was a reason. Trust and value.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a couple other comments. I know months and months ago we had people out there facing us, telling us that they voted on us to be in this position and we should do what they want us to do. Well, I think there were 240, how many petition signatures for Stockton leaving? Now, that's a drop in the bucket when you compare to all the people out there, but I think that's a good number. And also, the low fees that we got from Mr. King, doesn't that throw a red flag up to any of you either, that he's going to come from Pittsburgh to here for $600 flat fee? Who else do you think's paying that? Might be paying it. It could be somebody else. I don't know. It seems pretty fishy that he's going to trim all that. They're attorneys. They don't work for like $25 an hour. I question that. I know we messed up recently with another decision we made, and I just hate to see us do that again.
Anybody else want to make a comment?
Yeah, I'll make a comment. I think politics and personal agendas have made Big Spring School District. I'm going to stop at that, but sort of trying to get my words right here. I didn't see a petition to get the King guy. I saw a petition for stock and meter. We had a policy that we followed. That's what we followed. It was a policy I think 23 other schools had too at the time. I'm sad it wasn't right, but they believed it was. Again, politics don't belong in schools, and I think it's made it here at Big Spring. Some of these are getting confused with what should be going on at Big Spring. I'll stop at
Well, I'll take up the rear. I'm the last one speaking. In the past, I've been on this board and seen the past what happened with the Brentford plan, some other things. What made me change my mind was the representation from Stockton League. I think they could have informed us. Forgive me how I'm going to talk. I'm not very good. I don't think they informed us enough to do what we did and put that truck past in the window. And I've been trying to fight for one attorney when he's been here, which is no longer in Stockton. He wouldn't answer my questions. He wouldn't, and I don't know. I got no respect for him. That's what turned me from that. And I'm not saying the whole their whole firm is bad. But when I kept trying to get answers, and I couldn't get them, well, what am I supposed to think? So as I tried, I didn't get nowhere. So what everybody said tonight is how I feel, and that's why I want to try somebody different. I think King presented himself very well in our interviews, and all the rest of it, but I'm leaving it out. And there's some other things I could bring up, but I'm not going to take the rest of the time to do that. That will change my mind. But I'm going to stick with King. Thank you.
As president, I normally don't speak because it's my job to be impartial and get us to a vote. We are all volunteers. I and my other 8 board members sit here and we try to do what is best for this community and for the students. But I do have an opinion, and I will voice that opinion if we get to a 4-4 vote. That's the only time I'm allowed to vote, unless it is on a superintendent or on a budget. I want to take responsibility for a mistake that I may have made. And that is that in the interest of the community and the interest of saving money, Dr. Durante and I had decisions and discussions that I didn't think we needed the solicitor at every meeting. And I did not feel I needed 2 policemen in the back of the room to protect me or the other board members. I wanted to prove to the community that we as a board, a unified board, could stand on our own feet and do our best without someone telling us what to do or walking me to my car at the end of the meeting and I was afraid to be a school board member. I feel it is very important that we represent you. I listen to you. I don't sleep the night before, and I don't sleep for 2 nights after, because I'm trying to bring the board together. I will say, honestly, I think at times, Stockton Leader may have been a little complacent in how they work with us and how they helped us. But the demographics of the board changed last January and December when we were elected. It's kind of like it's time to buy a new car. What car do you buy? Which car is going to serve you the best for the next 10 years, 15 years? Do you buy an electric car or do you buy this? I think it's a similar decision. We have the opportunity with a 1-year contract to try something else. If it doesn't work, we can go back to whatever we want to do. I do want to say the process was fair. You have my word on that. The process was fair. 3 people came to an interview. They were each given 45 minutes. Dr. Durante did the structure. He asked the questions. My question was, why do you come to Big Spring? Why do you want to be here? That was my question that I came up with that I asked. At the end of the meeting, we didn't discuss anything. We all went home. And then we were asked to reach out to Dr. Grante with our views, one-on-one. And Dr. Grante kind of accepted them, collected them, brought them to the consensus, if you want to call it. There was no meeting of 5 of us, or 4 or 3 that got together that I know about to discuss the solicitor situation. But the consensus was the King firm might serve us the best. I am asking for you as a community and us as the board to be unified. There's going to be a vote taken here in a moment. That vote represents the majority. We may not always agree with the majority. We may not always feel that the majority decision is right. But we have to live with that. We have to live with the laws that are presented before us, and we have to live with the decisions of the majority. I am not a political person. I do not feel that politics believe that they should be at Big Spring School District. I believe that Mr. King presented himself for 30 minutes here in the committee of the whole, and for 45 minutes of interview without a note. He spoke who he was. That says a little something to me. Whether I agree or disagree with everything he represents and does, that's a personal decision that I have to weigh as well as each of the board members. So my take on this can't divide us. This should unify us. If they don't do their job, then we'll look for another solicitor. If they serve us well and save us money, then we may be happy. But we cannot let this divide us. We must move forward. Does anyone have a question for me? Yes.
Why are you keeping Stockton Leader as litigation counsel if all of you are saying how much you don't trust them?
Because for us to switch gears and update a new solicitor, in my opinion, it might cost us as much as $30,000 just to bring somebody else up to speed when Stockton Leader has presented the litigation to this point of that lawsuit.
If you think they've given sufficient litigation, why are we still looking for a different solicitor then? If you think it's okay to keep them for this.
We're keeping them for that at this time. That has been a consensus of the board.
Who's going to be on the call on November 4th?
Who will be on the call? Dr. Durante and myself, and I know about.
And Stockton Leader?
And I assume that they would be represented, yes. I don't know what's going to happen that day. I sat with a judge for 8 hours last August with Dr. Durante in Harrisburg, in the tallest building with the most security in federal court, to try to resolve this issue last August. And the judge sat beside me and said, you should not be going through this. At that time, no decision, no charges, no nothing was filed. That was last August. Not a lot has happened since then.
There was something done September 23rd.
We were informed that there would be a phone interview to discuss the situation with the judge and with the situation. Dr. Durante, have I said anything that is against what I did?
Correct.
Thank you. I have tried to be as open and honest and transparent as possible and not vote. Any other questions? Any other comments from the board? Yes, Mr. Corner.
I think not only was the reason not to switch litigation lawyer made because of the money, but it was also because people were asking us not to switch to who's litigating the case. I personally have no confidence in Stockton Leader, and because of the money involved in switching, I felt that we could keep them on as the litigants since they started this. I feel they should finish it, and that's how I feel about it.
Any other comments?
This is more just a question as far as the resolving of the cases. As much as possible to share publicly, are you going to be able to give us a resolution to those lawsuits once that happens, so that we can have a public record of what ended up happening as opposed to people coming and sharing their opinions about the cases?
If we are legally able to do that, I will share yes. I am not at liberty to share at this moment because I don't know what questions or comments will be raised on November 4th. Would you agree, Dr. Martin?
Correct, we have no idea.
We're going to get on our phone. I thought we'd go to the courthouse again, and I'd be searched 3 times before I got in a room. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think I can sit in the boardroom or something. So we don't know what, the judge is going to make a rule. It's kind of like you get a speeding ticket. You were speeding. You might have a fine to pay. You might have something to do. Or maybe the judge will say, maybe not so much this time. I don't know what's going to happen. Any other comments or questions? I hope the community will respect the majority decision. At this time, I will call for a vote. It's the recommendation of the appointment of the school district solicitor. It is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the law firm of Dillon, McCannis, King, Coulter, and Graham, LLP, as the school district solicitor as presented. I assume that everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. I record 2 no's at this time. Are there any others? Okay. Based upon the majority decision, that passes. The school district solicitor will be King. Dr. Bronte will inform them, and he'll begin probably November 1st or something like that, whenever we can make that change. We did have a extension of contract with Stock and Leader until we could kind of get our ducks in line. So we'll work through that process. I want to say that Dr. Bronte has been extremely supportive and helpful through this process, and I really appreciate his expertise and his wisdom. Recommended approval of capital project fund payments. We have 2, one BSN Sports and one McClure Company. Do I have a motion to pay these bills? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. Do we have discussion? Hearing none. I assume that we will be voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 9H, recommended approval of extra duty coaching positions, adding a middle school assistant coach for each of the boys and girls wrestling programs. Each position will be paid $3,936. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the addition of 2 extra duty coaching positions for the middle school wrestling program as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mrs. Shea. A little background on this. We started girls wrestling last year. The program has grown, but I believe there's 25 and boys and 25 girls. Just to have enough coverage with male, female, and different groups, and who wrestles who, and all those other things, especially when we go into tournaments and other things, it was felt by the athletic council that we needed to consider having additional coaches to support and represent the students in a fair way. So that's why that additional request is there. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving on to Case A. The parents of Case A waive their right to a formal student discipline hearing before the Board of School Directors. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors exclude the student in Case A for the school year as presented. Do I have a motion, please? Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone votes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 9J, recommended approval of the disenrollment survey. The DIG committee has prepared a disenrollment survey and explanation letter is requesting permission to distribute the survey by email to disenrolled families from the 2021 school year through 23-24 school year, and request the survey be mailed by USPS for non-responders with support from the administration. Approval of the explanation letter and survey is recommended by the DIG committee as presented. Do I have a motion? Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Corman. Do I have discussion? Yes, Mr. Nicholson.
So once the survey goes out and you receive the results, and I know this has been discussed, but I've had some parents ask me, what are we doing with those results? Is there a process that's being put in place as far as what we do with those results and what the next steps are?
Yeah, from my understanding, there was like the top categories will then go, they'll be reviewed, all the results will be reviewed at the committee, the committee, and then the top categories will be, by numbers, the top categories then will be focused on improvement plans, which would then be developed by the DIG committee and then brought to the board afterwards with hopefully participation from the community, since the DIG committee is open to the community.
So the school itself isn't making the process as far as the committee, the DIG committee.
Yes, but the school has representation on the DIG committee to help figure out what processes can be done.
Okay.
I think the DIG committee has been relying pretty heavily on feedback from administration.
Thank you.
I just want to point out, I think there was some confusion earlier from a comment that in the agenda here, the disenrollment survey, it takes you to a link which is a long PDF. But if you actually attended the meeting this evening, there's a live link which people went online and tested on their phones where you could actually review and see what the survey looks like. It's an interactive survey. Each question takes you to another question depending on how you answer it. Some people might have 5 questions, other people might have many more. It all depends on how you answer those questions. But I was just, in case there was confusion with the word, I just wanted to make sure you did see.
Could have been in this agenda right here too, you know. Could have been right here.
I'm sorry, I don't read the agenda. I was just letting you know that the link was there. The link was there.
Can I ask a clarification question? You said there's people on the committee who are representing.
Sorry, is that okay?
I thought he was still talking. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The committee members are Julie Booth, Seth Foreman, Lisa Shade, Teresa Johnson, Kathy Livingood, and Kendra Schaefer. So, oh, okay. It's just, he's not listed on that as like an official member, so I just wasn't sure.
A member of administration is a part of the committee from the charter.
Okay.
And
Thank you for
very
clarifying
thankful
that.
to have your input as well as other staff members who showed up and have really helped to form this survey into what it is.
Okay.
I'm thankful for the input.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mr.
I read it for the first time today, which is my fault, and I apologize. I saw, I think it was question number 1, that why are we not here, teachers, administrators, coaches, maybe there was bullying in that. The blame was all on Big Spring, and I didn't see, my kid doesn't like to get up. I didn't see, and I know that could be another. Is it on there?
Essentially, I mean, it's your schedule flexibility.
Okay, or, you know, my kid wants to do a 15-minute lesson and he has the rest of the day off. I don't think I am happy with UPS mailing out non-responders. That could be an awful lot too. It made Big Spring look bad, like it's our fault. If that's the idea you wanted to get across or not, that's what's coming across to me. And 51 questions, whoever would get to that number, they're going to hate us more than ever. If you answer, you can get to 51, or you can get to 5, I understand that, but there's a possibility of 51, and if I got to 51, I'd quit, or I'd just start ABC, and I don't even know what I would do. Surveys today, if you really think about it, should be no more than 10 max, but I didn't do it.
Mr. Fisher, David?
choosing one question, it will lead you to question 2 or question 3, depends on how you answer. That means it takes you down a different path. Do we know what the maximum number of questions you will answer will be?
Maximum would be 51 questions. That would also include the blanks that you do not have to fill out. That's just there's a maximum of 51 questions. That would include the extra blanks that would then say, give opportunity for more information if you chose to answer them and do not have to. I chose, it's really contingent on question 1, what were the primary reasons that you decided to leave Big Spring School District? So you can choose many different choices, or one, or you can select other. You know, there's all the different options there. So you can select other, or you can select none of them, and you can still move forward. And then you would only get those 3 questions, and I know there's 3 at the end that you get, which is like, what would you like about Big Spring, and at the path closer to what family education do you think should be added? Those were questions that we kind of came to with staff input, some of those. So basically, you could have, I think it's a minimum of 6 questions, but if you go through and select all those items, you'll have a maximum of 51 questions and or blanks. I went through testing it and checked all the boxes, every one. And I didn't go back and forth between the check and uncheck. I was in the section. You check yes or no, what's like a special inspection, particularly there's some changes based on what you select, also maybe communication. So it adds, you know, if you had asked about the specific thing or checked the specific thing, and add another question. So I went through even and kind of back and forth, selected on some, made sure it worked correctly. Didn't elaborate on any of the boxes, which that's someone's choice, whether they choose to or not. It took me 11 minutes. So this is not asking a horrible amount of time of someone. They can put as much time into it as they want. I imagine someone could or may spend an hour typing in there their particular grievances they had and the incident that occurred that was the contributing factor, the main factor that made them decide, change their minds. So this is an opportunity to reach out to families that did enroll here. They didn't just never come here. They had decided they wanted their child to get on the school bus and come to school at one of our elementary schools, maybe, or even one of the other schools. They made that decision, and then something happened, and they changed their mind. And it may be, we did discuss with the group, you know, there's other factors. It may be, like Mr. Myers or Mr. Earl brought up, it may be that there was attendance issues. You know, I have a relative that had that same issue, and, you know, they opted to go to cyber school. He lost a year of education. Worth it. So I'm not saying that's the best option. I'm saying some people made these choices. Why did they make these choices? But we do recognize that it's not going to be always the staff's fault as been like accused. If we don't look into what may have happened, we're not going to know. The efforts that have been made before were simply a letter inviting to a barbecue, and the questions were substantially only about why they didn't choose our cider over a different cider. Nothing about something that may have been an error on our part, something that may have not gone optimally. And that same thing that these maybe 500 families experienced could still be happening today. We could still lose students based on the same issues that occurred over and over and over again. Until we ask this question, until we listen to these people who, for some reason, have some grievance that they've decided to leave, we will not know. So when we ask the questions and we can put it in a survey that can be quantified, we can actually see this percentage of respondents stated this was the reason they chose to leave. It will at least help us to be able to look into what could be going wrong and make some improvements. And I don't think there's anything wrong with making improvements to our school. We have a very good school. My kids go here. And there's nothing wrong with trying to improve it for all the students. The mailing thing is not the survey yet. So the PDF document that they're going to get, if they get the mailer, is going to be an envelope. It's going to be a slip of paper with their specific access code. Because everyone's going to have a specific access code. No one on the committee, we're very careful about this. No one on the committee is going to know the names of the people getting the survey at all. Only the administration office is going to know that. So those access codes, once they've been used, we will know, based on looking at the survey, which access codes are limited. We will hand that list over to the administration, then they will be able to eliminate certain ones that already applied. And really, the reason we're doing this way is to save money, so we don't have to mail them all out. We could just start with mailing them all out, but we didn't want to do that. We decided it would be better if we could reach them by email, it would be cheaper, which is what we were going for. If we can't reach them by email, they will get the letter explaining what the survey is. They will get a basic paper with their access to it, so they can get on the internet and they can do the survey. On the letter that they will get is an explanation of the survey and of the committee, which we've already approved months ago. It clearly states who's on the committee, what the purpose of the committee is, and welcomes them to come to any of our meetings, to share or however they feel comfortable sharing their experience. They can reach out to one of us individually, we would sit down with them as a smaller group, whatever they feel comfortable with, we just want to hear their stories, and that's what it's about.
I have a question.
Do we have a number of parents or students that this is going to be sent to? Is there a rough number?
I looked at it, we talked about this a little bit ago. I think there was around 500. I could look at some of my, the numbers that we had though were year by year. So it's possible that some of them are repeated. So the numbers there on the cyber enrollments could be a little off. The other thing that we are going to include is those that disenrolled to go to private schools or disenrolled to go to homeschooling as well. So those numbers were actually never included on our numbers. So we aren't exactly sure. I think Dr. Brown, I can't remember if you had an estimate of that amount, but if it was around 100 or something.
Yeah, some of those numbers are going to be hard to come by, but I think the cyber enrollment was somewhere between 300 and 400 students over the course of a 4 or 5 year period.
I think what we had was I heard around that year, and so there
Yeah.
was overlap probably, some numbers.
There's kids that are going to be identified each year.
Yeah, I have a basic breakdown here. From 21-22, we had 172 students disenrolled. 22-23, we had 162 students. 23-24, we had 138 students. And then calculate those together, and there were probably a little other things we were putting in the equation, but that's the gist.
Yes, comment please.
Observation, if I may. I don't disagree with your intent to find an answer. I truly hope that you find an answer that we could lessen our kids going away from us. But let me say this, I'm not a survey taker. If I get a survey that has 51 questions, I'm not taking that survey. Number two, if there are questions in there that would lessen you from answering other questions, what makes you think that those questions are going to be answered correctly? I think you're going to get false negatives. I think you're going to get false results from the number of questions and the pressure of that person answering that survey. Just an observation.
Yes, comment
All
please.
right. Have you considered doing, before you put it out, and this seems to be a big discussion, a dry run, like just contacting a few parents that may have already pulled their kids out and say, would you be willing to take this survey and give us feedback based off of their experiences? I'm just saying it might give you a whole different perspective on this.
Thank you.
So he brought up a point about he wouldn't take a survey if he knew it had 51 questions. Do they know how many questions are on this survey before they even start? So they just know that, does it say like take this 5-minute survey?
It doesn't say how many questions are on the survey at all.
Yes, please.
Just like to thank Mr. Schaefer for providing that information in my ask. And you wonder why I don't go to these meetings.
Comments about the information Mrs. Shea presented in the number of students that are in cyber schools. Yes, Mr. Corman.
I do have one more thing. Just so everybody can see it, I put a live version of it up online, .bssd.me. everybody who wants to can log onto that website, take the survey, look it over for yourselves. It's completely interactive. You can take it more than once right now. This is not the version that they'll be getting is pass-coded. This is the same thing. I just made it live for everybody to get in. Everybody can take it, so you can actually see it yourselves and look at it and see how easy it is to operate. This was asked of me by Julie to put this up tonight so that we can make the announcement and people can try it for themselves. So please do go to line.bssd.me. Go ahead and select Big Spring and Dig Survey Test 2, and that will be a live example, and you can take it as many times as you want. Try the different choices, try the different options. I hope that will help out with some things.
Yes, please, in the back.
Couple questions. So the people you're going after, the 500 students over the past 5 years, so a lot of them got repetitive if they were freshmen to go up to the 4th grade or the 12th grade. So each year. Now, are those kids also ones going to private schools?
We're not including the private or the homeschooling, correct? We are including private and homeschooling as well as those who went to cyber school. Yes, sir.
So that's pointless because that is their parents' right for them to put them in a different school. That's stupid. Why waste our money on sending out something that has nothing to do with why I like my daughter to go to private school. If I have a problem, as Mr. Durante knows, I go through all the commands through the school district to go where I need to go. I also can tell you that why are we wasting money over something that if people have a complaint, they're going to come to you. You're not going to get any data off of this pile of garbage. First of all, if I'm filling this out, 51 questions, and I got to sit there, after the first 3 minutes, throwing it away and I'm turning it off. They're not going to give you anything. Then you're going to spend our money to send postage to these people that you're trying to get data from. Makes no sense.
We will be spending a maximum of $500 on this committee. That's what's been approved by the board when the committee was originally approved. So there's a maximum to it. We're talking about up to $500 worth of postage stamps. And we're obviously way below that. And our goal was to eliminate some of the mailings by sending out an email. Now, to answer your question about the pointlessness of parents being able to choose private or homeschooling, that's an obvious thing. They started out enrolled here. We're not going to reach out to people who never enrolled here. This is only for children who had come, families that decided to come here, enroll their child here, and then a change occurred and they disenrolled. So rather than excluding the parents that decided to go to a private school or homeschooling, we decided to include those because they did make a decision, a change. So we are still interested in what they may have to say. So we don't want to exclude them.
Correct, but which me as a parent has the right for any reason, be it my religious beliefs or whatever, to put my child where I best feel.
That is absolutely correct. And I think everyone on the committee 100% agrees with that statement.
But then what's the point of trying to put someone through a survey that they're not going to finish?
Because they started in the district and they changed their mind. Something may have happened, and if they don't have to fill out the survey. And that's what we find there wrong. That's fine. The people who have an idea of why they left are upset with their voices.
How about we worry about real things?
Motion to move the question.
Good for you. Guess what? How about you worry about real things while you still have...
It's been made that we move to question, which means we go to a vote. I will handle this like I do every other motion unless I hear more than 3 negatives or 4. So the recommendation is the approval of the explanation letter and the survey is recommended by the DIG committee as presented. We've had discussion, we had a motion and a second. I'll now move to vote. Question has been called. I assume that everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining.
No.
I hear 2 noes. Do I hear any more? There are 2 noes. There is a majority that is in favor, so that disenrollment survey will continue. Moving on to board reports. Athletic Council, Mr. Ken Fisher.
I have nothing for you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. We just had a meeting recently. 10B, Building and Property Committee, Mr. David Fisher. We canceled tonight's meeting because we were giving our business manager, and I want to introduce her. She's here with us this evening, our first official meeting. So she's here with us tonight. Dr. Bronte, can you give her just her name and anything else you want to say about her so far?
This is Christy Lentz, and we're very pleased to have somebody that's working with us as a team, and she's acclimating very well and getting her feet wet, so we wanted to give her a little break with property and grounds, but we'll get that rolling too.
We do have a meeting scheduled for property committee, building committee for November 18th, so in about a month and a half. David, do you have anything to share this evening? No. Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Seth Corman with the Capital Area Media.
Anything at this point.
Okay, thank you. Coming up area CTC, myself, next meeting is October 28th. I plan on being in attendance, so I have nothing new to report. Julie Booth, the date committee, do you have anything more to share? Okay, thank you, Julie. Finance committee, Julie Booth, do you have anything to share? 21st, right. Let's see, future ready comprehensive plan board reps, Mr. Ken Fisher.
Nothing in the future so far, but sure something's coming up soon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fisher. Seth Corman, policy review. Our next meeting is October 21st at 6, and then we have a finance committee meeting at 6:30. Do you have anything to share this evening, Mr. Corman? Thank you. Self-Centered Trust, Mr. Corman?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. David Fisher, tax collection?
At this time, it's meetings next Tuesday.
Thank you. Seth Corman, Wellness Committee?
Nothing at this time.
Future board agenda items from the floor. Dr. Brown, take your report, please.
Successful homecoming week, great week of celebrations, successful football game, and approximately 500 of our students attended the homecoming dance, and that went very well. FFA has been very active in the last few weeks, and they'll continue to be active as they prepare for their national conference. They did a fall leadership in Blaine County, a spot conference at Cumberland Valley, and the Keystone International Livestock Expedition contest as well. Probably most important, though, the milkshakes did sell out at halftime of the homecoming. So that might be the first most important thing they did all week. I attended the National Junior Honor Society induction this past week, and congratulations to all those returning and inductees that are just coming into the fold for their academic accomplishment. Clubs are in full swing at the middle school level. PBIS with the principal cabinet is underway as well. Proud to say that we are consistently focused on academic achievement and improvement. We've had goal meetings with every building administrator, and the staff has very much adapted to that and is striving. High Nickel Week at the middle school level is underway, and that is peer observation. So that is a great collegial effort where peers go into peers' classroom and offer constructive feedback on the lessons. So we're excited to see that take part. And this coming Monday, not today, but next Monday will be an in-service day, and there'll be no school for students, and I'll put out a message later on this week.
Thank you, Dr. Bronte, and thank you, Dr. Sanders, for your leadership and all your work. Business from the floor, each board member, Mr. David Fisher. Mr. Seth Corman.
I'd just like to thank every business manager.
Ken Fisher.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Mr. Ober. Mr. Myers.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and also wanted to respond just a bit to the gentleman back in the corner. Don't know your name, but I appreciate your comments, and also I know we already voted on this, but I still question on this survey and the Dignity Committee survey how we can determine who's filling out those forms as well. They go out to a family, but I could go visit them and fill it out, go visit someone else and fill it out. I don't see how that's going to be accurate, first of all. And secondly, I mentioned this before, but I'm wondering what part of the survey has a teacher, a bus driver, a teacher aide rebuttal or response to us putting out a survey is digging at all of them. I guess that's why we call it digging. But thank you all for coming tonight.
Mr. Shea?
In continuing with my fun facts, I was browsing in an old newspaper and I ran across an interesting old building which hosted a neat experimental school in our county, and I thought I would just share it. This is from the Star and Enterprise, and Thursday, March 10th of 1859, page 2. The Cumberland County, I'm just going to read the ad. It says, Cumberland County, the school was called the Normal School. Cumberland County Normal School, the third session of this excellent institution, will commence on the 5th of April, 1859, and continue 4 months exclusive of a short vacation during harvest. It will be held in the Literary Hall. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Literary Hall. I did a little bit of research on that, and that's a pretty fun building, but I'll share that another way. So, it will be held in the Literary Hall, Newville, PA, and it will be under the control of a board of trustees composed of one school director from each school district in the county. An efficient crops of instructors have been secured, and every facility provided to render it worthy of the patronage of all who desire to avail themselves of a thorough education at a small cost. The school is no longer an experiment, and its utility and advantages have been fairly tested, and it is new regarded as a fixed institution of the county. We bespeak for those for the coming session a large accession of students. Terms, $10 for the session, no extras. For full particulars, see the advertisement in another column, and then it lists the Carlisle American. And I also found that in the same timeline that there was a school called the Big Spring Academy. I'm presuming that was our old district name. I have to ask a historian on that. But that one, they had summer sessions, and it says Big Spring Academy will commence a summer session on the second Tuesday of April next for terms, and then it has the principal was W.R. Lynn of Newville, PA. So there you go. One facts.
Mrs. Good?
I just want to thank the staff and students for the homecoming. My freshman son said it was the best time he's had, even though he adamantly said that he was not going to the dance. He did end up going, and he said it was the best time ever. So the staff and students did a wonderful job. My senior daughter, said that the decorations were very nice, did a great job. So just wanted to pass that along to the staff, the students and staff. And also I want to thank, welcome Mrs. Lentz here.
Thank you, Mrs. Lentz. As we close this evening, we're only a few meetings or a few weeks away from Thanksgiving. I hope we all remember what we're thankful for. I hope we remember we're thankful for our school district, our teachers, our administrators, our bus drivers, and thankful to each of you for coming here this evening. We need to remember why we're here and what we're trying to do. And we're actually a community that cares about kids and cares about their future. We can be thankful that we're sitting in Newville, Pennsylvania, and not in Tennessee, or not in the South, or not in Florida. The last report is the hurricane is moving at about 8 miles an hour to the east, and it's packing winds of 185 miles an hour. You can't stand in that, living in your house. So we can be thankful and pray for those people and what they'll go through in the next couple of days. The big spring is not facing those types of challenges, but we're facing the challenges of preparing kids for the future. Take a motion for adjournment, please. Motion is for David Fisher. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shea. There is no discussion. I assume everyone goes in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Thank you for coming tonight. The next meeting is October 21st. Have a great evening.